You're listening to Rebel Spirituality with me, Sam Goldfinch. Here's the truth. Wisdom doesn't follow rules. So each week we're going to explore what it means to wake up your way so you can live a more peaceful, creative and inspired life no matter your circumstances. It's time to blaze your unique path to truth. Hey team, today's episode we're going to be talking about how living a beautiful life isn't just about positive thinking and effort all the time. You actually have stuff going for you that's far more powerful and far more simple than that. So I'm super excited to talk about that. Just before we do, somehow we're nearly at the launch of the second Mystery School. So that's happening in September. So if you'd like to get your name on the wait list, then just head down to the show notes and do so. We've had such an amazing experience. It's such a wonderful group of people, and I'd love to have you a part of the next one. People have had such profound shifts in seeing what they've got going for them, seeing how their wisdom really doesn't follow rules. And that's true for you. And I would love to help you break some of your rules so that you can live just a beautiful life. All right, team, I'll hand you over to me. See you there. Let's talk about positive thinking and the danger of positive thinking, actually. And I get that it's everywhere right now. Just think positive, turn that frown upside down. You know, there's ways that we can play around with our thinking that are incredibly popular. And I do see how playing around with the thinking that we already have that's in form, and by in form, I mean it's already thought, you know, it exists, it's in our head, we can play around with that and we can impact our experience. So me and you, we could sit here for the next 3 or 4 minutes and we could think positive things and we could fill our body with positive feelings, right? And then we could switch for another 3 or 4 minutes and we could think of horrible things. We could think of negative things in that sense, and we could fill our body with not nice feelings, right? I truly understand that. And so logically, the positive thinking kind of movement says, if you can just think positively all the time, then you will have a positive experience all the time. And on paper, it looks logical and it looks like it's completely harmless. But if you think about it, it is a full-time job to have to try and think positive all of the time. And if we're not careful, we can end up in the world of toxic positivity and trying to flip everything, when a lot of the time we're just having an honest, authentic, felt response to something. And it's not anything to be afraid of. It's just something to breathe with and be with, and we'll be just fine. And look, I understand that we can get into habits of being more optimistic or being more positive. And over time, those habits can create new neural pathways, and we can find ourselves kind of more naturally not finding ourselves feeling like a victim. And I get that. But I still want to point us in a different direction, right? Because the positive thinking movement kind of says, if you think positively all the time, then you're going to have a positive life. But the fact of the matter is that at the level of who you really are, at the level of your awareness, you're made of love. Like, you're quite literally made of love and clarity and peace and all of the things that we're striving to get through our thought patterns. It's right there. It's already done. And any moment your thinking clears, any moment you remember the truth that you're being guided by the formless dimension, that you've got a huge amount going for you, that there is a source of resilience and innate health and well-being that resides at the heart of your being, no matter what has happened to you and no matter what is going to happen to you, you can tap into that. So in a sense, you're made of positivity, but not the kind of positivity that requires effort, actually. It's just understanding the truth of who you are. And you can touch that at any moment. In any moment, you can touch the truth of that, and things can look entirely different. So I know from my own experience that effort, trying to be positive all the time, trying to continually force myself to be present, it felt like it was working for a while, but it took so much energy. It was like a full-time job, basically. And I was knackered. I was absolutely shattered at the end of that experience. And I am just grateful that through grace and through understanding and through continual looking in a direction, to have stumbled across the inside out understanding, the understanding that everything comes from within you, the understanding that all of the love and the positivity and the clarity and the peace, all of that stuff that you've been looking outside of yourself for, all of that stuff that you've thought you'd need to train your modes of thinking is right there. And then notice what happens to your thinking then, right? If you're hanging out in that space, you touch the truth of that space. You don't have to think grateful. You are grateful because you're made of gratefulness. You're made of gratitude, right? It's just there. You don't have to try and have clear thinking when you're in clarity, because you are clarity. And then things occur to you, insights move through you and come into being through you without you having to do anything at all. You don't have to try and convince yourself that you love yourself when you're residing in that space, because you are love, right? There's no distinction. There's not two of you. There's not one of you that needs loving and one that's doing the loving. You are the experience of love. You are love. And that positive thinking, or trying to convince ourselves, or trying to train ourselves into a certain way of being, is always going to pale in significance to hanging out in that, to knowing that in our heart and hanging out in that space. And that to me is one thing that the inside out understanding can give us all. All right, team. I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you soon.